and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on Paramount Plus that will use this lifeline to phone a friend. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge All-Star Season 3, Episode 8. And let's jump in where last episode left off, and that was Mark winning against Jordan, John A winning against Ronnie, and coming back to the challenge house. Mark is feeling excited. He's talking with Derek. They're excited about how many stars they have between the both of them. They are so close to the finals, and Mark is feeling it. Mark is thinking that I feel good right now at my age. I could play this game into my 60s, possibly. Maybe he's talking about a challenge main season return. Maybe. Then we move over to Naya, who is talking to Nehemiah, and Naya is feeling super alone. Now that Jordan is out of the game, she is having a hard time finding her why and being in the house and competing and trying to win that money. And Nehemiah is trying to give her advice, trying to give her some comfort, but he knows that that motivation is going to have to come within Naya to find her why and to push forward despite feeling like she is knocked down and alone in this game. And Nehemiah says that he's going to be there for Naya for the rest of the game and be in her corner, which I really enjoyed Nehemiah being there for Naya. We quickly go from a montage of a day off where it was rainy. People were either in the pool having a good time or in the gym while it was raining outside. And then the very next day, everybody dons their challenge gear, meets up with TJ at this episode's daily challenge. However, this is when TJ turns his attention over to Veronica. We find out that Veronica was sent to get her foot looked at, her toe looked at, and come to find out Veronica's toe is broken, meaning that Veronica is no longer able to go forward in this game, so close to the finals, yet now Veronica has to be medically DQ'd from the game this late. You hate to see it, especially this far into the season. Veronica is heartbroken. A lot of the players left in the game are heartbroken, especially Kayla, who is a part of the Treehouse Alliance alongside Veronica. Is not looking good for her, that she's going to have to win, get into power to make sure she is safe heading towards these finals. After Veronica says her goodbyes, that's when we move on to this week's daily challenge called Flight Pattern. In this daily challenge, players are going to have to hang out of a helicopter to memorize a pattern that is on the water. Then after a while, they're going to have to untether themselves and jump out of the helicopter into the water, swim to their platform, and recreate the pattern. The most accurate and quickest player out of the men and the women will win into the authority, win into power, win into safety, as well as whoever wins on the women's side will get Veronica's stars. So there's a lot on the line, especially this close to the finals. Now, I do want to mention that in this pattern, there is a red line signifying what the top of the puzzle is. And so when you're recreating it, you want to go from the red line at the top down. That's going to be important when getting the results later on in this daily challenge. Let's go through the heats real quick. We have in heat 1, Mark and Kellyanne, who do a really good job on this daily challenge. For going first, they actually do a really good job. Then in heat 2, we have Derek and Kayla, where Kayla makes it known that memorizing isn't her strong suit. And so when she's doing this puzzle, she's like, I have no idea. At the end of it, she just puts up her hand, they blow the horn, and she just is like, it is what it is. I'm probably going to go into elimination anyways. Heat 3, we have Wes and John A, where John A is a long way away from her platform when she jumps out of this helicopter. I will say that it seemed like the women had to swim significantly farther than the men. That's at least what I saw in the edit. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if it just made it seem that way from how the edit was, and maybe all the men were just really quick in swimming to their platforms than the women. It just seemed like the women had a longer swim than all of the men, especially John A, who seemed to have jumped way more from in the middle or where the buoy was, and so she had to swim a long distance away. Wes was able to get to his platform, put all of his pieces in there, put up his hands before John A even got up to her platform. But once she got up on that platform, she made the best of her time, putting all the puzzle pieces together, and even confident when Wes asked, how many do you think you got right? And John A said, all of them. That's one thing I do like about this daily challenge, is that it wasn't who got it right the quickest, it was accuracy and quickness. It was actually quite interesting because it wasn't Yes, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? No, it was no checks. You just raise your hand when you're done, and then you're locked in. And we'll just see at the end if you got the most accurate and the quickest time, which I really enjoyed this, because if we remember back to the one daily challenge with the math problems, and we had Kayla who was just checking over and over and over again, it would be so easy for somebody just to do that over and over and over again to try to get the best time. So I really liked how this daily challenge was set up. Heat 4, we have Brad and Nia is just not feeling it. She doesn't like heights. That's when Brad gets out, tries to give her a pep talk, and is trying to be encouraging, which I really enjoyed seeing Brad trying to be there for Nia. And that's when Nia says, you know what, I'll go up in the helicopter, we'll get over where the puzzle is, and then we'll see how I feel. And so they get over to the puzzle, and Nia's just not having it. She's like, is the helicopter going down anymore? Are we staying at this height? Once that was the case, she was like, I'm done. I'm not going to do it. And so she says she's given up. She's done. And Brad tries this, but he doesn't fare much better. Even jumping out of the helicopter and getting to his puzzle board, he completely mangled this puzzle up. And really, he didn't have to win anyways, but it was just a hot mess. And for Heat 5, because Veronica was medically DQ'd, there's an odd number of men and women, so Nehemiah gets to go by himself, and Nehemiah does his best, but he doesn't get on the board, as this daily challenge comes down between Mark and Derek, Kellyanne, and John A. So then it came down to time for the men, and Mark actually edges out Derek. I'm actually quite surprised that Derek was able to get his puzzle 100% complete when you have players like Brad has been winning a lot of the mental games in this challenge season, and then Wes is known for being very, very smart and having a good memory. So it coming down between Mark and Derek, I thought was really surprising, and Mark was able to edge out Derek, winning into the authority yet again. And then we get over to the women's side, and it's Kellyanne versus John A, and Kellyanne actually finishes this the quickest. However, because she didn't follow where the red line was, her puzzle was 100% accurate, but 90 degrees down. So technically she got it 0% correct because of the way the puzzle was set up. So John A wins into the authority, wins safety, and wins Veronica's star. And so coming back to the challenge house, John A and Mark are having a good time. Being excited, having a good time, John A has to talk with Nia, and Nia thinks that she should possibly volunteer to go into the elimination. She didn't even try. She was the only person that didn't jump out of the helicopter, that not participating should have some consequences, even though she's scared and she doesn't want to go into the elimination. She tells John A that maybe I should be the one going into the elimination. On the opposite end, we have Wes and Nehemiah, and Wes brings up that no matter what, it seems as though that either Wes or Nehemiah will be going into the elimination. And if Mark calls either one of them out, they're both going to call out Derek. So essentially at this point, it's Derek versus Wes or Nehemiah. And Wes is thinking, I kind of want to volunteer. I want to take the shot at Derek. I want the opportunity to get all the stars I can get as we're this close to the finals. And then that's when Wes goes, well, if you would want me to volunteer. Nehemiah, do you want to volunteer? And Nehemiah's like, I don't give a crap about these stars. I just want to make it to the finals. So you do you. If you want to volunteer, you do it. Speaking of Mark and Derek, we move over to a conversation where Mark is thinking, okay, well, Wes seems to like he wants to go into elimination. I don't want to give Wes the satisfaction to send him into the elimination, have him have all the power, and then him get all your stars. So instead, Mark is thinking, why don't I just send you in, Derek? If I vote you into the elimination, you get to see what the elimination is, and then you can make the best decision for you instead of you knowing that you're gonna have to go up against Wes and give Wes all that power. So Derek is thinking, yeah, if I'm gonna go in no matter what anyways, I'd rather have all the power. Mark and Derek decide that they're gonna leave this conversation bookmarked and they'll sleep on it and then reconvene back in the morning to really nail in a for sure plan. This is when Wes decides that he's gonna make a business call. I need some outside help. I need some outside source and outside thinking power. And so he goes into the room, goes in to have a conversation with none other than Johnny Bananas. And you know what? As a fan, You hear the rumors that possibly Bananas was supposed to be on this challenge season, this challenge all-star season. You get excited because you're thinking of the possibilities of Bananas, Wes, and Jordan all being on a challenge season together again. And you think back to Total Madness, where it was so much fun between Wes and Bananas and they're back and forth. And then you hear that Bananas kind of pulls out at the end, or he pivots and doesn't come on to this season. And you go, well, we kind of missed something. What would have been their thought processes coming into this season? Would they have gotten along with each other? And you know what? At least we got this glimpse and this phone call between Bananas and Wes to find out that, yes, they are still very much friendly. They are almost best friends at this point, and they're having a dang good time in this 3 to 5 minute phone call. I didn't want this phone call to end at one point because it was just a really funny phone call between Wes, Bananas. You have Wes laughing hysterically. Bananas is laughing. You have Bananas in some very scandalous underwear, being very risque, showing off his banana cheeks as he's getting his thinking crown on and trying to help out Wes in this game. It's really, really funny. In this business meeting, we have Wes trying to get some advice from Bananas, talking about the stars. Derek is going to go into the elimination. What do you think my chances are? Should I even take this risk of volunteering myself to go into the elimination against Derek to get these stars? And Bananas says that it's high risk, high reward, basically. And that's pretty much where we leave off. It was supposed to be a funny conversation. I think Wes was always wanting to go into elimination to try to get these stars. He doesn't care about the money. He wants the title. But realistically, I think this was just a funny phone call. And you know what? Wes and Bananas delivering what we want to see yet again on a challenge season. So it was a really, really funny moment. One of the highlights of the season, in my opinion. We wake up the next morning where John A is talking to Kayla, and John A talks about how Nia has volunteered to want to go into elimination, and then Kellyanne came up to John A, putting in her name to be possibly the authority pick to go into the elimination because at least she can pick who she wants to go up against. On hearing that, Kayla says that, why don't you just send me into the elimination? I could then choose who I want to go up against. John A is flabbergasted that all these women are like, yeah, you can send me into the elimination. So now John A has full power. Everybody has given her the green light to send them into the elimination, so now she just gets to choose what's best for her game at this moment. We move to the authority meeting where John A says all of this to Mark, and then Mark says that Brad and Nehemiah are off the table. Yes, I would like to send in Wes, but I want to give my buddy Derek the best opportunity to win and give him all the power. John A is really wanting to send in Wes. She thinks that Wes is talking a big game, has a big ego. She would like him to show up or shut up and put his money where his mouth is. And Mark says, yeah, that would be cool, but I'm trying to look out for my buddy Derek. So heading out of this authority meeting, they decide that they're going to send in Derek and Kayla. I think John A is thinking about sending in Kayla into this elimination, is that she'll take a shot at Kellyanne, and either one of them leaving would be a very big thumbs up for John A's game. The only problem is that Veronica already left the game. So there's only 4 women left while there's 5 men in this game still. So to me, I'm walking into this going like, there's not going to be a women's elimination, I don't think. So what is the point of all of this? Now, I do have a theory because in the preview to next episode, we do see the 2 women going into this elimination, squaring off against each other and grabbing the pole for the pole wrestle. So that's something to be said. I have a theory about that I'm going to bring up in Tiny Table Talk tomorrow. But talking about the elimination, let's move on to the elimination where everybody dons their challenge gear, heads down to meet up with TJ in the arena where TJ is standing in a giant circle with a pole in the middle. Everybody assumes that it is a pole wrestle, which they're half right. TJ then goes over to Kayla and Derek asking who they want to go up against in this week's elimination. Kayla, of course, says Kellyanne. Nia was like, I don't want Kayla to pick me. There's no way Kayla would have picked you. One, if she thinks it's a pole wrestle, she's not going to pick Nia. No way, no doubt. She's going to pick Kellyanne, who is closer in height to her, closer in stature, and Kayla thinks that she can outmuscle Kellyanne. So 100%, once she walked in, saw the pole in the middle of this circle, she was like, I'm going to pick Kellyanne no matter what. Then we move over to Derek, who is going back and forth on who he wants to go up against. He decides he's going to choose the quote-unquote easier option in Nehemiah, and Wes is trying to gas up Nehemiah because Wes is pissed. I think Wes really wanted to go into this elimination, and after seeing that it was a pole wrestle, he was like, this is it. Derek's going to pick me, we're going to have a rematch, and this is going to be epic. I'm ready to go into this elimination. Then a quick turn of events, and we have Derek going up against Nehemiah. Everybody heads down in the arena sand to talk to TJ and know that this elimination is called Light My Fire, which it is a pole wrestle. You have to try to wrestle the pole away from your opponent. However, there's another thing. You have to wrestle the pole away from your opponent, then run over to your cauldron and light the pole on fire. The first player out of both heats to do this wins, gets their opponent's stars, and is going on to the next episode / the final, it looks like. So moving on, we have the matchup between Nehemiah and Derek, and essentially this is a to be continued because this is happening so late in the episode that I just sat there, kept on like scrolling over the time marker and going, there's no way. We get a little bit of a wrestling match between Derek and Nehemiah to start this off, but then we get hit by a to be continued, and then we move on to the preview to next episode. I'm not gonna lie, this was a lot more strategizing, and I liked seeing a lot more of the competitors like conversing with each other and try to strategize against one another in this episode. I just hate that we didn't get even one half of the elimination. What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. What did you think about this episode? What did you think about the daily challenge? And what do you think about the matchups between Kellyanne and Kayla, Derek and Nehemiah? Who are you rooting for? And are you sad that we didn't get a dual rematch of Wes versus Derek? I know I'm upset by that, but I'll get more into that in tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. What do you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out, thank you to everybody who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back very, very soon with more Challenge All-Stars 3 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.